Hi everyone, my name is Sonal and I am so glad to have you here today with me. Thank you so much for your presence. Today I want to start off with a story. Now, this story is about a faraway land. There was a king and a queen, and they had a son, a young prince. Now, the prince was very headstrong, self centered, and impatient. And although a bright guy, he wasn't particularly interested in caring about other people. The king and the queen were naturally concerned because they were elderly and they felt that soon the kingdom would be in the hands of the prince and they wanted the kingdom to be in good hands. So they called in the sorcerer, whom they trusted a lot, and the sorcerer asked them a single question. So when the king and the queen told the sorcerer, this is the thing that we are worried about, we're concerned about, the sorcerer asked them a single question. He said, "What is your son most passionate about? Is there anything that he really, really likes?" The answer was, of course, horses. He loves horses. So the sorcerer says, "Okay, meet me in the palace gardens tomorrow morning." So the king and the queen and the prince meet the sorcerer in the palace garden the next morning. The sorcerer had this incredibly magnificent white horse. The prince immediately said, "I want it. How much is it for? I'll pay you any amount of money for it. Can I ride on it?" And so on. I mean, like he was really keen to have the horse. So the sorcerer agreed. But he said that initially, let me just see. First, let me see, can you ride it? So the prince jumped on and galloped off. He started galloping through different farmlands, hills, and he was really into it, going faster and faster, up over some mountains, over some mountain passes, then some woodlands, having a wonderful time. But then gradually, he started getting tired, and so he slowed down. And he noticed that he was in the middle of a deep forest at that point. He stopped at a small cottage to find out where he was. And it just so turned out that the cottage, there lived a woodcutter and his beautiful daughter. The woodcutter and his daughter had no idea about the prince nor the kingdom that he spoke about. Neither of them had heard about it, but they offered him to stay overnight, and the next day he could go searching, asking other people around their house as to if they have heard about his kingdom or about him. So he stayed over, and next day the prince went out searching, but nobody in the region knew where his kingdom was or had any idea about him. So he did it the day after that, then the day after that, then the day after that. Gradually, as time passed, nobody really knew about it. He wasn't getting any information. He wasn't able to get out of that place. So he started helping the woodcutter with his profession, like cutting, modeling, shaping things. He helped around the cottage and he got attracted to the daughter. They fell in love and they got married. Days and months passed by, and gradually he forgot about his old life and he immersed himself in his new life. His wife, his children, they had children, a son and a daughter. So in all of this, he felt that he had found some real peace and happiness where he was in his life. Now, he would go for walks in the forest, and there was a pond there, and he used to go near that pond for his walk. One day, as he was walking, he heard a cry. When he saw it was his two children, and they were running, and they were being chased by a tiger, and they ran into the pond and disappeared. The tiger ran after them, jumped in, and he too disappeared. His wife, dismayed and upset, ran out, ran into the pond, and she also disappeared. The horse followed, and he also disappeared. The prince fell onto the ground, his body shaking and sobbing. Sometime later, he felt a soft, gentle touch on his shoulder. Looking up, he saw it was his mother, the queen. She looked relieved. He looked around and saw the people from the court, and they looked concerned. He was in the palace gardens. His horse was standing there quietly. The queen told him that he had jumped onto the horse, got thrown off, and had been knocked unconscious for 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes? He said, I lived years and years. I had a life, a family, a trade I loved, wife, 2 children, things that mattered to me. It wasn't 2 to 3 minutes. It was years and years. Saying this, the prince walked off, totally dazed, bewildered, and baffled by this experience. At this point, the sorcerer bowed to the king, and he too walked off. As you can imagine, the young prince was totally altered by this experience, by the loss, the mystery, and his attitude to life changed. It helped him open his heart to every moment in life. He became more attuned to life and realized the preciousness of each moment, the treasurability, the savourability of each moment. In time, he became just the kind of king his father wanted him to be. A just king, a kind king, a wise king. So, what is the takeaway from this story? Well, many takeaways. The one that I would like to emphasize on today is, well, many of us have felt loss, have felt impermanence, or the ever-changing nature of things. It could be the loss of friendships. It could be the loss of phases in one's life, things, mortality, just coming to face with that. Everything, if you look at it, is so impermanent. It's ever-changing. It's so transient. I mean, if you look at your breath, in, out, in, out, in, out. Every moment it's changing. The arisings in your mind, in all of us, the thoughts, the sensations in our body, the feelings that we feel, perceptions that we have, everything is just so ever-changing. In fact, when we talk about thoughts, research has shown us, and of course there are different researches, but the one that I read about was there are some 50,000 thoughts, 50,000 thoughts on an average every day in us, on an average in a person. So you can imagine that's an average. It could be more also for some people, and of course less also, but looking at this, I think there are a lot of us who would feel that it's definitely more, for many of us. Your bodies are ever changing. When you started listening to this story, and now so many new cells have got added in. So your bodies are ever changing. Days into nights, changing. Nights into days, changing. Seasons change. The universe itself is ever expanding, the physicists tell us. So everywhere there is change. And if we can remind ourselves of this impermanence, of this ever-changing nature of things, one, it can remind us the futility of clinging to or pushing against, because whatever you're pushing against or whatever you're trying to cling to desperately, that will also change. So if you're clinging to someone thinking that, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a way of thought, maybe a way of thinking, whatever it might be, and if it's not serving you, you're still clinging to it, then it could be that you could ask that at some point of time, this too shall change. So why cling? And if you're pushing against something, I don't want this particular thing in the world, I'm going to create blogs, I'm going to rally, I'm going to do this, I don't want this. Not that you don't like or dislike certain things. It's not about liking or disliking, but it is about that grasping to or pushing against. The strong like or dislike where you are totally in such a place of chaos within yourself. So yes, you're doing action, you're offering action, but it's taking a toll on you emotionally. In that sense, you may want to consider looking at the impermanence that, okay, I can take actions which can help me get the solution that I want, but at the same time, I'm not going to push against the problem. So when a problem comes up, and if we can be aware of the problem, but from the periphery, so that we are aware of the solution. We can allow the solution, because the frequency of the solution, the frequency of the problem are different from each other. And in order to allow the solution to come to us, to occur to us, so that idea to come into us, it's important that we are a match to it. That means that we are feeling the same feelings. And what would the solution make us feel? It would make us feel better. That's why we want it, that it would make us have more clarity about what we're looking for. And if we can feel that right now, by moving away from the chaos, so you're aware of the problem, but it's not taking a toll on you emotionally, health-wise, in that sense. So if all that starts happening, you may want to consider just reminding yourself that this too shall change. Maybe not right now, maybe after 5 years, maybe after 50,000 years, maybe after 5,000 years. This too shall change. So in that sense, what happens is ease can come in. There are more chances of ease seeping into you. And as ease comes in, you become a match to all the insight which is just waiting for you to connect to it. And as you connect to it, you get an idea. You feel an impulse to do something. And, then obviously you move more and more towards a solution. So reminding ourselves of the futility of clinging to or pushing against. Also, it can remind us to be grateful for the present moment, because everything is ever changing. So wherever we are, we can be grateful for that moment. Even if there could be pain in that moment, perhaps we could find the strength to look at it in a way which gives us a little bit of ease. If not at that moment, maybe at some other moment. But in this all journey, the suggestion is always to be kind and gentle with yourself. If you can't, then it's always suggested to take a break, or distract yourself to some other topic which is easy for you to appreciate. But if nothing is working out, you've tried distraction, you've tried everything else, and you're stuck in that place, then you may want to look at it differently so that you feel a little ease, even if that's a few moments. In those few moments, you start creating the momentum to now for those ideas from the place of insight and clarity and strength and love and peace and compassion to flow into you more easily. And last but not the least, and that I think flows from this gratefulness, from the gratitude, from the heartfulness, is that just like it opened the prince to accepting every moment in his life, perhaps it could start the process of our opening up, accepting and acknowledging and opening up to every moment in our life. So just reminding ourselves of this impermanence could do that. Or at least start it as per our unique and beautiful path of least resistance. The suggestion again, like I said, is just to be kind and gentle with yourself. To each one of us, we all have a beautiful and unique journeys, and to kind of honor that wherever we are has a lot of value, in my opinion. That's what my suggestion would be. So if you cannot feel ease right now in a particular moment, that's okay. You can always come back to the breath. You can always take a break. You can always distract yourself to something easy to appreciate. You can always ask for help from someone you trust and you find supportive. Different ways and modalities of finding that ease. And whenever you're ready to and you would like to, and the situation is still the same, it's not something which makes you happy and is important for you, then you could consider looking at it in a different way, perhaps looking at the impermanence of it all, so you feel a little bit of ease. So that's that from my side, and that's what exactly, if when you start feeling that, you start feeling true freedom, because true freedom is freedom in our minds, we can actually ask others to change, but at the end of the day, how many people will we actually get to change to make us feel better? Somewhere down the road, we kind of feel that at the end, the change has to come in from within also. So this could be something which you may like to consider. If you have any questions, anything that you'd like to share, feel free to write into me at sonal@connectmeditation.com. It's so wonderful to have you here. And I wish you all either a beautiful day, if this is the part of the day for you, wherever you are listening to this, or if it's night, then wish you a wonderful night. Lots of love, lots of happiness. Thank you so much once again for joining me today.